I went through a divorce. Um, that was final last July. My ex-wife, she originally left the marriage coming upon 2 years now. We have two daughters. Right now, they're both to be 4 and 8 this year. The thing I'm still struggling a lot with is the fact that we have 50-50 custody, and I'm having a hard time with the fact still of just being separated from my daughters. I still hold a lot of anger towards that part of it. I mean, their mom, she stepped out, she had an affair and all that. And that, okay, I got over it. It is what it is. It happened. But it's just the fact of being separated from my daughters, knowing that they're still so young, and the rest of their childhood, I can only be a part of their lives 50% of the time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to live with this kind of feeling in the pit of my stomach the rest of my life. I want to get to a place where I can be okay. But it's been a couple of years now, and I still hold that anger and just that feeling in the pit of my stomach that I just can't seem to get over.
Man, I got two things off the top of my head here, but I'm going to go backwards. The first thing is, I'll just sit with you for a second, man. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how anybody who splits custody does it. Because my life's just not complete when my kids aren't around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they drive me crazy, and we get on each other's nerves, and it's loud and messy, but dude, my life's not complete. So I'm sitting here with you just as a fellow dad. I can't imagine that kind of pain. I can't imagine that pain.
Right.
And then you throw in, is she dating again, probably?
Yeah, she's with the guy that she had an affair with.
Okay.
Yeah, basically as soon as she left, she moved right in with him.
Okay.
My girls didn't know this guy. And I guess to kind of throw another layer onto that is, how do I even get okay with another guy being kind of another father figure in their lives?
Yeah.
I struggle with that too.
Well, let's get...
Tommy, it's just...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, going over the last 2 years, people say it's just a new normal. You get used to it, but there's nothing no more about it. So it's like, how do you get used to something like that?
All right, here's the first thing that is just sitting on my chest, and I want to say it, and tell me if I'm wrong, okay?
Okay.
The pain that you feel for missing your daughters, dude, that's visceral. And just like I said, as a dad, I can't wrap my head around how painful that would be. But I don't think that's where your anger comes from.
Okay.
The way you've mentioned this a few times, I think your anger is in a laser beam on your ex-wife. I still think you can't figure out what you did wrong that she left you. I still think you're back there 2 years ago going, you're cheating on me? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're living with the reality that you don't get to see your daughters half the time. Can't imagine that. But I think the source, the epicenter of your hurt is that you still haven't metabolized the fact that your marriage is over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're still living in that marriage. And she still controls your thoughts. She still is one of the first people you think of during the day when you wake up. Like, you're so angry.
Yeah.
And you're stuck in the grief that she blew up y'all's life.
Yeah.
And until you grieve, brother, that your marriage, period, at the end of it is over, it's just you're gonna constantly have a nuclear reactor in the middle of your chest. And you can then go around and cast stories on other situations in your life, other pain points, not getting to see your daughters, this scumbag who hooked up with a married woman, and then now she's with him. Right? You can cast other people in your life as the villains, and there's truth to that. But I think the real hurt here, man, is you haven't gone through the full grief cycle of you lost your marriage. You never considered yourself to be a single dad. You never considered you would have to say, "Hi, I'm Jay. I'm divorced."
Mm-hmm.
Does that ring true? Tell me if I'm out to lunch, man.
No, I think you're hitting it on the head pretty well there. I mean, I guess I can kind of agree with that because even just dealing with their mom, I still get anxious.
That's it.
I tense up. I hate having to have any kind of communication with her.
Tell me about that. Is it because you're enraged with her, or the layer beneath that is you're still wondering what's so bad about you?
I think it comes from, so during the time, probably the first year of us being separated, she was back and forth with this guy quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when she wasn't with him, we were able to be cordial and, talk through things. When she was with him, I was the enemy. They did a lot to just disrespect me as our girl's father, belittled me as her father, more him.
Give me an example.
That she was with. So there was one instance where one of my daughters had pneumonia. She had to stay overnight at the hospital. And so I let the staff there know, hey, their mom's coming with this guy, just so you know, he and I, we don't get along. It's best keep us separate or whatever. And so they went out.
Let me stop right there. Why would you feel the need to preface that?
Because he always has to make comments towards me.
Like what?
Like for instance, like when this happened, and then went out and spoke with him. He could still see me, and he was like, "Thanks for that. Not allowing me to come in the room right now." I was like, "You're not their dad."
Of course.
And he goes, "I am their dad." It was what his response was.
Wow. Okay.
So things like that, just to try to dig it in even further.
So let me ask you. This is a hard question. But like it or not, he's a man that your daughter spent 50% of their life with.
Right.
Tell me about the power play on display at a hospital when you have a little girl there and laying there in the hospital with pneumonia, that you wouldn't be able to just suck your pride and bury it for a second and let all three of y'all in the room to be with this little girl.
I guess of the anxiety that I get when I was around them during that time.
Okay.
There was other stuff that's happened up until then. So it, like, before all this happened, I was never anxious for nothing. I was carefree.
No, but your life blew up. Your body now has a GPS pin and pain that you did not ever, you couldn't imagine. And here it is.
Right. Yeah.
And so your body's right. Your anxiousness is right. Now you know somebody who says, I do, might stab you right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know a love that you didn't know you were capable of with two beautiful little girls, and then you only get to see them half the time. You didn't know that kind of pain. And so your anxiousness is right. But I think it's because your body is still trying to solve for what was instead of owning reality, choosing what is.
Right.
And it's solving that anxiety.
Yeah, and that's where I'm stuck.
Okay.
I don't know how to...
I got you there. I'm going to send you Building a Non-Anxious Life, my book, for free, okay? It's going to be my gift to you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to hook you up with that. I'm also going to hook you up with 3 months free from my friends at BetterHelp. Licensed therapist. You can check them out online at your computer at your house, okay?
Okay.
I'll hook you up with that. And you can call them and just begin to walk through some of this stuff. But here's the big thing I want you to do. Do you have a couple of boys that live there with you in Florida? Some men that you trust?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. This is going to sound ridiculous. And you can say, this idiot podcaster told me to do this, and so I'm going to give it a shot. I want you to have them over to your house, and I want you to have a miniature funeral for your marriage. Okay? This is you pronouncing it in front of a couple of other people. This is over. And if you want to take a step further, this old Terry Real move, which I love, get a picture of your ex-wife and get a picture of her new boyfriend and frame them and put them at your kitchen table. And every time you're mad, look over and say, I'm going to choose to have less of a relationship with my daughter to honor you two. I'm going to let y'all continue to ruin my evenings, keep me out of the dating game, get frustrated all the time. I'm going to honor you two. And then really quickly, you're going to see how ridiculous that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or keep
Right.
a picture of your ex-wife up just at the dinner table in a small little frame. And when you start to spin out, literally lean over and put the picture face down and say, you don't get a vote anymore. Because you're going to have to teach your body, because it's still trying to protect you. It still thinks it can hold on to this marriage. It's over. And now you have to, and hopefully she does too, and hopefully this other guy does too. Y'all are going to have to enter into adulthood, which means I'm going to put the needs of our kids ahead of my ego, of my anxiousness, of my whatever.
Right.
And you want me to tell you something crazy? Now, I don't know all the ins and outs, so you can decide for yourself if this is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to call this guy and say, hey, you mind grabbing a cup of coffee with me? And saying, at the hospital, I was wrong. I know you see her 50% of the time. I'm their dad. It makes me uncomfortable when you say that. I don't like it. I'm their dad. But also, I know you care about my daughters too.
Mm-hmm.
And that won't happen again. If they go to the hospital, we're all going to be there because we're the three adults in their life. Like it or not, that's the way this is.
Right.
And that olive branch, he may take that olive branch from you and stab you with it. Maybe. Or he may take that olive branch from you and just exhale. And if you say, I want to do what's best for these girls.
Right.
And so I want to trust you. I got to know your name. You got to be able to text me and say, hey, 8-year-old just started her period when she was 12 and mom's struggling with it. Just know. We got to be able to text each other. Or some boys around here, trying to talk to her. Just FYI, like, y'all got to be able to do that for her.
Right.
And he may tell you to go to hell, dude. But at least I did the right adult thing for my kids.
Yeah. I've actually had thoughts about just saying to them, hey, let's bury the hatchet. What happened, and kind of move on from there.
But if you've been an anxious mess fighting the whole way, and by the way, he only has an earful of how evil you are and how dumb you are from her.
Right.
And she has shown the world what kind of character and integrity she has. None, right?
Right.
And so you've dated people in the past who was like, my ex-boyfriend was this and this and this. Maybe you got one side of that story. And so calling him and saying, hey, let's bury the hatchet, that's a step. A better path towards connecting, because this guy's going to be in your kid's life a lot, is starting with, hey, I was wrong. I messed this up.
Right.
And if you get to a point in that conversation, you can say, bro, you slept with my wife. Like, of course this is hard. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just putting it on the table. He knows it. You know it. Not saying it doesn't make it go away. And then maybe putting it out there, hey, only seeing my girls 50% of the time is like guts me. But you're not able to move to sad yet because you're still so mad. And you're still so mad because I think you're still hanging on to this marriage in a weird way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do feel like if she was trying to come back, I wouldn't.
You think about it.
Yeah, I only say that because she, within the first 9 months of her being back with this guy, I took her back twice.
Yeah.
At about 6 or 7 times, and only for her to take off again.
Yeah.
And so no, I told myself, I would never do that. And just seeing how heartbroken my older daughter was when she did it again, yeah. I was like, I never put him.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, I don't I can't tell you whether to take her back or not. My gut says I don't know why you would. But a lot of that, even that circular thinking, that circular conversation is because you haven't fully ended it yet. And to you, she's still like a prodigal wife. You still are waiting for her to come home every night. And even though you're like, oh, I'm not going to take her back, but you kind of wish you would, right? So it's just metabolizing. This thing happened and that marriage is over. Even if y'all got back together someday, y'all are building a totally new thing. A new thing that she may leave. She may sleep with one of your friends. She may, like, who knows, right? And you may turn into an anxious wreck and let your ego speak for you. So all this to say is get a couple of friends over and let's exhale on this marriage. And let's make a conscious decision, and it's going to take some practice, 60, 90, 120 days, 2, 3, 4 months. She doesn't get a vote. I'm not waking up thinking about her every minute of every day. I'm just not. I'm going to call this other man who's 50% of my daughter's waking moments are with him. And I'm going to bury my ego in the backyard, and we're going to do its best. I'm going to start by saying that was a bad call on my part, dude. That was me just uncomfortable, and I shouldn't have done that in the hospital. That won't happen again. And please understand I'm trying my best to navigate this with you. You slept with my wife, for crying out loud. It's hard for me, but I'm doing the best thing for these girls. And we got to be able to text back and forth for their sake, because they need one continuous stream. And is this pie in the sky? Of course it is. If most people could be this emotionally mature, they wouldn't get divorced in the first place. But here we are. And all we can do is the next right thing. And for you, I think the next right thing is grieving this marriage and then taking that next step forward. Thanks for the call, my brother. I'm really grateful. Holler at me if y'all have that call. That would be rad. And by the way, you know what I've never had on the show? I've never had a bio dad and a stepdad call together and say, how do we best honor these kids? I'll take that call every single day. So if y'all want to do that, that would be amazing. Reach out to Kelly and we would make that one happen, my brother. That'd be cool. Also know that's probably not going to happen, but man, I would love for it to.